Namaste, welcome. Welcome. Oh, it's warm today. Really hot. I'm melting. So I'm really glad we're practicing yin. Let's hope we can cool down. Namaste. Closing your eyes for a moment. Instead of bringing our palms together, let's bring the thumb and the index to touch in Akasha Mudra. Palms face up on your knees. The Akasha or Akasha Mudra is connected to the element of space, expansiveness of space. And we're going to draw upon the qualities of Akasha. And this mudra means touching the void, connecting with that space or expansive universe, which is almost intangible and incomprehensible to the human mind. This is the deep nothingness and everythingness within our deepest soul, that we are of everything and of nothing. That these boundaries, these delineations that we have between ourself and space is an illusion, a construct. We are part of everything. We are part of the universe itself. Our mantra for today is Aham Brahmasmi. Aham Brahmasmi. Aham Brahmasmi. I am the universe. Let's chant 3 times Aham Brahmasmi and then open by chanting Om. Inhale fully to prepare. Aham Brahmasmi. Aham Brahmasmi. Aham Brahmasmi. 3 times whispering Aham Brahmasmi. Aham Brahmasmi. Aham Brahmasmi. Aham Brahmasmi. 3 times silently within the mind. Let's bring the tips of our middle fingers and thumbs together as a variation of our namaskar. Still creating this sense of space here for Om 3 times. Inhale fully to prepare. Om. 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 Namaste. Welcome. So a nice, cool beginning to our yin practice. Yin, the principle of yin, the tattva of yin, is coming into stillness, cultivating awareness, and staying in that sense of stillness, ever ever expanding our awareness of the experience in the external, the outer body, and the experience within, in the inner body, the interior, internal body. And noticing how we separate out the outer and inner bodies. Often we focus on our outer body, our outer physical experience. I invite you to turn in more deeply to the inner experience of yin. And this turning inward is turning into the darkness of the universe itself, illuminated by stars, will invite in a sense of cooling, a sense of expansion. So interweaving this energy that we feel, this active, dynamic energy that we have in the world around us. Remember, we are never still. Everything within us is moving. The Mother Earth is spinning on an axis. The earth is revolving around the sun in perpetual motion, even within our stillness. So let's draw upon this core of stillness at the very heart of the universe, at the very heart of us. Let's take a moment, remove our block or seat if we are sitting on it, and then bring the soles of the feet together. And I invite you to create as much space here as you can. If you wish to stay seated on your cushion or block, just to help lengthen and be with the natural curvature of your spine, you may do that. Place your hands either on your shins or on your ankles or at your toes. Maintain length in the spine from the root to the crown. Close your eyes or take your gaze slightly ahead to the earth. And the pranayam, the breath that I'm going to offer you, is Sitali pranayam, a cooling breath here. So you can poke out your tongue, curl your tongue, and as you inhale, draw the breath as a funnel through into the mouth, to the roof of the mouth, so it cools the mouth. So breath in through the mouth, along the funnel created by the tongue, and then out through your nose. So I'll demonstrate. This breath is cooling. We are drawing in the expansiveness, the space within the universe, and bringing in the breath so it resonates with the space within us. If it's difficult to curl the tongue, you can gently part the teeth and the lips and inhale through the teeth, making a sound. Like when you've burnt your tongue and you go, and that will also draw in the cool breath through all the gaps here. Shitali or Sitkari pranayama. And you'll notice what happens as you inhale. You will begin to experience a sense of cool dryness in the mouth. This cool dryness, often equated with the quality of space. When we think about space out there, we know it doesn't feel warm. We think of it as being something cool. Only if we are in close to the sun do we experience the warmth. But as soon as we are away from the sun, turned away from the sun, there's coolness, like the other side of the moon, or when the earth is in nightfall. One more breath here, Aham Brahmasmi. We're going to move into dragonfly pose, Upavista Konasana. So let's extend the right leg and then extend the left leg. So we create this V shape here. Now you might want to roll up blankets and place them underneath your knees. You might wish to place cushions underneath your knees. Your legs may be much further apart, or they may be a little bit closer, and that's okay. We have a hot dog who insists on sitting in the sun. Yeah, okay, maybe he's going to move into the pool now. So let's place our fingertips on the earth. This way. Or here, there's no sun here. And then walk your hands away from you. Keep this length in the spine from the root to the crown. So we're creating space. Think about all the space in between the vertebrae. Think about the space where the spine curves. Think about the space that we're creating as our lungs expand, our diaphragm rises and falls. We often conceive of ourselves as having personal space. So we might have a circumference that's probably about this length of our legs, in which we maintain distance from people we don't know very well. And when our personal space is encroached upon, it feels invasive, depending on the relationship we have with the person or the energy of that person who moves into the sphere of our space, of my space. So becoming aware of this sense of my space or the me space. If you wish, you can always bring your forearms to rest on a bolster or a pillow. And if you're bringing your fingers together, let's create space by adopting the Hakini Mudra with all the four fingers. So we look like we're holding a sphere in our hands. And this will give us a sense of space. If you're using bolsters or pillows, you can lift them up by layering them up. Maintain the length in the spine. And maybe you connect with Ujjayi breath, this ocean sounding breath at the back of the throat. Remember, it sounds like you're breathing on a mirror, but you keep your lips closed and you're breathing in and out of your nose. And you'll feel the air rushing at the back of your throat. Or you can maintain Sitali or Sitkari breath with the tongue curled up. Or if curling the tongue is a challenge, and not all of us can do that for various reasons to do with genetics, we can softly part our lips and teeth and then breathe in through all the gaps there. One more minute here. So really cultivating the sense of stillness. And then cultivating an awareness of the motion of your breath, perhaps your sense of movement of lymph or blood within your system, the sense of sound waves, sounds that you hear externally in the environment, and as the waves vibrate, hearing those sounds internally. Those sound waves from out to in. One more breath here. And then let's release a Hakini Mudra, this mudra of creating space. Rise back up, slowly rising up. And let's move very carefully here because we've had our legs extended for a while. Place your hands underneath the back of your thighs and then draw your knees up, bringing the soles of your feet to the earth. If you use the prop to help raise the earth towards your forearms or your hands, you can remove that now. And let's take our right shin so it's parallel to one edge of the mat, and our left shin so it's parallel to the other edge of the mat. Our left heel is sort of aligned with our left hip. So coming into deer pose, Kasturi or Mrga pose, Kasturi Mrga pose. So lengthen here. And again, you can place your fingertips on the earth to help create the length and space in your spine. So rise up from the root towards the crown, as if you have a silver thread drawing you up, or a beam of light. Coming into stillness. Connect with the flow of energy from the root to the crown. And then as you exhale on the next breath, we're going to walk our hands over to the right and then walk them away from our body so that we come down closer to the earth. Your options, my friends, is to place a bolster or a pillow here or lower directly to the earth. And you can bring your eyebrow center to your bolster or pillow or cushion or directly to the earth. If you are high up on your fingertips, you can stay here. Then you feel the extension of space underneath your armpits. If this feels intense for your shoulders, then soften your palms to the earth. And walk your fingertips away from you. Now here in this rotation pose, deer pose, Kasturi Mrga pose, experience the places where there is space and the places where there is contraction. So expansiveness and then contraction. So think about the expansiveness you experience here, perhaps in the left leg, in your lap. Think about the contraction around the abdomen. Think about the expansion underneath the armpits and along the length of the arms. Connect with the sense of me space, my space. My energy circulates within my space, filling this space with the waves of energy that emanate from myself. This is not empty space. It appears to be empty, but it's full of your energy. And then as soon as other people come towards us, their energy meets our energy in this invisible force field around ourselves. This very subtle sense of energy. And that is why we can intuitively, instinctively not feel connected to someone because their energy doesn't feel compatible to our energy. But also why we bond with people and feel like we've known people for years, because instantly, intuitively, with some deep intelligence, our energy harmonizes. And when we have different bodily experiences or bodily manifestations of this external self, we can sense immediately when someone else freezes, stops, halts, withdraws, disengages because of their discomfort with us, their discomfort with the sense of self, the sense of space that we have created. From here, dear rotation, I invite you to lift your head and walk your hands back towards you a little. And then bring the left knee to the right knee and rise up onto your knees so they come onto your knees. We're going to move into Anahatasana, melting heart pose here. And again, my friends, you can choose to have a bolster or pillow underneath your heart space, or you can come directly towards the earth. Walk your hands away. If it begins to feel uncomfortable on your shoulders, widen your hands and see how that experience feels. Create space here. Have space between your knees. If this still doesn't meet your needs for space, fold in one arm and keep one arm extended. Melting your heart down towards the earth. Resting your eyebrows center, your Agnya chakra, this chakra for intuition. Resting on the earth or on a blanket or a cushion. Tailbone is lifted here. And then sense the length of your spine from the root to the crown. Sense the places where your spine curves and creates space. If you have one arm extended, I will let you know when to fold in the arm and swap over, but not just yet. Let's be here in this form, this expression of our space. Melting heart. Invite ease into this pose. The element of space, Akasha, is connected to moving with ease, flowing in and out, filling space by expanding, withdrawing from space by contracting. So this pulsation, this throbbing energy, this spanda, and this moves with effortless ease. So invite your breath to be effortless here. Soften into your heart here to create a sense of ease. When we practice with elements, or the chakras, or the meridians, or any of the subtle body forms, we are invoking and drawing upon specific qualities or principles associated with the philosophy. If you have one arm extended, I invite you to fold it in and then extend the opposite arm. If you have both arms extended, sense how you're feeling here. Tune into the physical experience. Tune into the inner body experience. And then make adjustments as you need them. Perhaps you bring your elbows a little bit closer to your body. Perhaps you fold in your arms now to have a little rest. Perhaps you extend your arms even further because you've managed to create some additional space here. So space is about expansion into and contraction from. It's not a one-way relationship. It's not a sense of progression. We're not trying to get anywhere because we're moving out in all directions. It's not a linear journey. Everything in space is cyclical. It's circulating, it's rotating, there's curves and round shapes, global shapes. We'll be here for another couple of minutes. So do what you need to do to create more ease in this pose, in this expression of your form. And I'm drawing upon the element of Akasha during our Pride series to connect with this sense of expansiveness, but this sense of my space, me in the space. And then the not me space that can sometimes experience disharmony or discomfort when these come together, when others cannot accept or meet or move into or expand into an understanding. But also our subtle inner body experiences and the outer body manifestation, these barriers and boundaries that sometimes appear to be fixed are not fixed at all. They are mutable, transmutative, transformative. A human, let's come back from this part before I share the next quote with you, because I really want to share the next quote from you. So let's walk our hands back towards our body as carefully and gently as we can. And now we're going to go the other way. So we're going to drop onto our left hip this time because we were on our right hip last time. And take again the right shin. So I'm just showing you my back because I wanted to show you how we move into it. Right shin parallel to one side of the mat, the right heel fairly close to our hip. Our left shin is in front of us. So we create this zigzag. Now I'm going to turn to you so you can see me. So now we're going to turn the other way. So let's lengthen our spine by placing our fingertips on the earth, rising high. Now increase the gap, the space between the root and the crown. So consciously draw these apart, expand in both directions, up and down. As you exhale, because exhale is the breath that creates a space to move into, let's turn over to the left and then walk our hands as far as we feel comfortable to. Rise high in your fingers for a moment. You can place your bolster or pillow here underneath your heart space, or you can choose to come directly down to the earth. So we're in deer pose or rotation to the left now. Kasturi Mirga pose. The quote that I was about to read to you is a quote by Albert Einstein. A human being is part of a whole, called by us the universe, a part limited in time and space. They experience themselves, their thoughts and feelings, as something separate from the rest. Let me say that again. They experience themselves, their thoughts and feelings, as something separated from the rest. A kind of optical delusion of their consciousness. Let's think about what Einstein is inviting us to connect with here. That we are a part of the whole, which we call the universe. And that part that we have is limited in time and space. So how much space we take up, or how long we have that space for. And in that space, we experience our thoughts, our feelings as something separate and different from everything else around us. But this is an optical delusion. We are not separate. And so when we create fixed boundaries and barriers and delineate binaries, this is a delusion, because in universal terms, we are part of the universe. We were talking about this in our previous practice, that the universe is within us and we are within the universe. So this me space and your space, or the me space and not me space, look different, feel different to us. But when we look beyond our physical bodies, our physical manifestations, our appearances, our designated place, we connect on a subtle body energetic level. Let's rise up from here, coming up high on your fingertips, and walk your hands back towards your body. And again, we're going to roll onto our knees here, rising off our hip, coming back into table pose here. And then let's walk our hands all the way back towards ourselves and then rise up. We're going to move into Ustrasana, camel pose. Now, I'm going to turn around because I prefer facing this way. So always to me, this feels the top of my mat because of my chakras there. So let's untuck our toes for the moment. Now, do we need something to pad our knees or the inside of our ankles? Find your blankets or your cushions and create the padding you need here. This is about meeting our physical needs in this moment. Let's bring our hands into Hatini Mudra, all the fingertips touching together. So just create a space here. Now let's think about how we can create space here. So perhaps you draw in the navel and you create space from the root here in the pelvic area, the abdomen, the diaphragm, the ribs, the heart, the collarbones, the space between the ears and the shoulders. Lifting your crown. And now we've done that for the anterior chain. Let's do that for the posterior chain. How can we create space here? Let's ground down into the earth through our shins and knees. Engage the thighs, perhaps the inner thighs. We feel like they're connecting so that we create space by turning the inner thighs to the back. From your tailbone to your spine. Imagine that you're creating length. Think about all the natural places of curvature in your spine. And then connect with this sense of expansion. And this is difficult to maintain, both the posterior and anterior at the same time. So perhaps you have to shift your awareness. If you wish, you can tuck your toes here. Inhale, let's reach up with our Hakini Mudra above our crown. Create height here. Let's reach behind us and place our fingertips on our sacrum. And now we're going to definitely create more space at the front of our body. So engage your thighs by squeezing them in towards each other here and roll out the inside of the thighs to the back. Draw in your navel almost as if you're zipping up the front of your body here. Shoulder blades come together, broaden across your shoulders. Lift your gaze, lift your chin slightly. Visualize the expansiveness of space here. Now, all this space between your physical body and the nearest wall, imagine that your energy is filling that. The wall, to the ceiling, to the floor, in all directions. And then let's move beyond the wall, the ceiling, the floor. Options here to reach for your right heel, and you can keep supporting your lower back. If you feel that you have enough space here, you can reach both hands back towards your heels, or keep supporting the back with your right fingertips on your heel, or reaching towards your heel. And imagine this emanation of invisible energy, and shatter this optical illusion that there's separation and difference between you and your environment, between you and others, that beneath these manifest forms, we are all currents of energy. We are moving energy, spinning and vibrating and radiating and emanating and circulating these protons, neutrons, electrons. We said yesterday about us being literal stardust. If you have one hand on your sacrum and the other hand reaching towards your heels, bring both hands to support your lower back, and then reach back with the opposite hand towards the heel that you have not yet reached towards. Ustrasana. Ustrasana. When we realize that what happens in our environment, in the space around us, affects the space that is my space or me space, and my space or me space affects the space around me, and the space, the not me spaces, the not my spaces, the spaces that others lay claim to. This begins to crack the assumptions that we make about others, the unconscious bias that we may hold about others, because we begin to see beyond their physical manifestation or expression, and understand that the expression that is most manifold is their sense of self as they choose to express it, rather than how we perceive it. One more breath here. Let's release our hands, support our backs. And as you exhale, moving very slowly, keeping that length in your spine, let's come down towards the earth and then support yourself with your hands by scaffolding. Bring the top of your head, your crown, to rest gently here. Lengthen again from the root to the crown. Round deeply through the upper back. Shashangasana hair pose. You have the option of reaching back for your heels. You'll need to shift the weight back into your hips and pelvis so that you don't tumble forward. one full breath here. And then let's bring our hands to the earth. We're going to come into fish pose, Matsyasana, as our next pose. So let's come onto our sit pose. Here, my friends, you can place a pillow or several cushions underneath your shoulder blades so that your armpits will be over your pillows or blankets. And then, because we're going to lower our crown towards the earth behind us, you might want to place a block or a blanket or a cushion so that it might feel a little bit higher. And so it's easier for you to feel supported in that pose. You want to be creating easefulness. So when you're ready, using your hands to support you, let's lower down to the earth. So rest your shoulder blades on your pillow or bolster. Have you bending your knees. And then you're going to begin to release your crown down towards the earth. And so check how far. So I realized instantly there's too much of a gap. And you have to be a bit close. So that when you bring your head down, you can bring your crown down towards the earth. If it feels too high, you can take away a layer. Move slowly here. And your arms can be on your bolster, or you can have them on the other side of your bolster. So you might need to shuffle around here until you find a comfortable position, which opens your heart, opens the throat, opens the heart. And if you're ready, you can then extend your legs long. Allow your feet to turn out here. Just keep an eye on how your neck feels here. If it feels too constricted for the back of your neck, then remember to place more cushions underneath your head. If you feel like you have enough space and you want to, you are able to have a little bit more space for your crown towards the earth, then you can remove one of your cushions, but move very carefully here. Always wanting to be supported, especially when we are reaching the weight of our head back. And now here in Matsyasana fish pose, you can practice Ujjayi breath, ocean sounding breath of air rushing to the back of the throat. Or you can practice Shitali or Sitkari pranayama, this cooling breath. So either creating a funnel with your tongue, inhaling like that, or gently parting your teeth and lips and inhaling through the gaps in your mouth. Check how that feels. Because if it feels like you're swallowing some of your liquid down the back of your throat, you want to be careful. Especially if you have hay fever. If you have hay fever, then you probably want to keep long, slow breathing through your nose. And Ujjayi breath, because this sort of rushing of air tickles the back of the throat, it can feel quite comforting for those of us who are experiencing an itchy throat. Aham Brahmasmi. I am whole. So here for a couple of more moments, make sure that you do feel supported, especially your head. And then now change where there's an expansion of space. We are all one space where there's expansion or contraction, where there's the pulsation, where there's the movement, and where there's the stillness. There's no separation between the stillness and the movement. We may be lying here feeling very still apart from the breath or the movements that are happening within our body, and not be aware of the movements of the earth, of the universe. Remember, our solar system is circulating around a galactic core. The galaxies are rushing away from each other at incredible speed and velocity, and yet we are not aware of that. So that is the optical delusion that we experience, is Maya. That's why we have to look beyond what we can see or hear, so that we are receptive to others' expressions of wholeness. So from your Matsyasana, I'm going to ask you to move very carefully. So perhaps you roll over onto one side first, and bend into your knees. And if you have your pillow there, then you might feel supported. Now, as you're lying here on your side, notice what's happening to your side. You feel an extension on the right side and contraction on your left side where you are. If you turn to the left, or the other way around if you turn the other way. Another way to add to this sense of expansion is to reach overhead with the upper arm. And then reach forward with your lower arm so it's out parallel. Check how this feels for you now. Where are you feeling expansion and contraction? This is a variation of Sutta Matsyendrasana, side twist and side extension. If you wish, you can turn your gaze up towards the sky. And then see how you experience difference in your rib cage. One more breath here, and then we're going to turn over onto the other side. So going through center, again, moving with care. Come onto the opposite side, the opposite hip. And again, you can reach overhead with your upper arm and extend your lower arm out. You can rotate your heart up towards the sky. Knees are together. A real opening that we create around the heart, around the throat, the neck. So that there's more space in our body. One more breath here on this side. And now I'm going to invite you to gently slide off your bolster or pillow so that you come directly onto the earth. Stay on the earth for a moment. And we're going to move into legs up in the air or legs up the wall. Viparita Karana. So find a wall. If you're close to a wall, that's great. If not, you can have your legs up in the air. So let's roll back onto our lower back if we've moved our bolster or pillow out of the way. And if you have a wall, come up close to the wall with your hip, your side hip. And then with helping hand, rotate your body away from the wall and reach your legs the wall. And then you can keep your legs fairly aligned or walk your legs out so that you create a V shape for your legs. And allow your feet to soften here. If you're on the earth and you don't have a wall space available right now, you can reach up with your legs and then again open them out and let your feet soften, because if you let your feet soften, then you will come into a natural place here. Excuse my linen pants falling all over the place. I really enjoy this at the wall because it creates, and have your arms out and away from both sides of your body here. And we're going to be here for the next few moments, next few minutes. If you have legs up in the air and it doesn't feel sustainable, what you can do is also use a belt by looping the belt underneath the soles of your feet and then holding your belt. And that will help you hold your feet up here as well. So you can have your feet parallel together. You can have them wide open. And by holding onto your belt, it might feel more sustainable. So you can use a dressing down belt, long scarf, So we're going to be here for the next 2 minutes. So when we were talking about this optical illusion or delusion or Maya, thinking about when we begin to understand that the qualities that we see or the behaviors or the manifestations that we see do not necessarily convey the essence of what is hidden or invisible or unseen. So just as we can't see space around us, we can't touch it, we can't feel it, we can't hold it, but we know it's there. It has a quality. So this helps us to understand, making assumptions, presuming, kind of drawing on stereotypes or fixed ideas or kind of our narrower understanding. We won't see the wonderment of what is hidden from us, what is unseen, this expansive energy of the universe, which contracts and expands and pulsates and vibrates and moves in unseen ways. And that we are not separate to that. We are part of that. There's flow. There's the expression and the receptivity come together when we move from a deep listening, deep awareness pure awareness. Let's take 3 full breaths in your viparita karani, or legs up the wall, in dragonfly, by drawing your legs towards each other, bending at the knees and hugging them in. Contract here into a little seed. The subtle body, element of space, Akasha, is everything that happens before manifestation. It is what helps us to move from the subtle to the physical, or we draw from the physical to the subtle. But it's almost like before we have a thought, we have an inkling or an intuition. Before we say something, we have a thought. It's that moment before something happens, moment before expression. Let's expand our body here and come into your Shavasana. So legs out, arms out, like a Tarasan, like a fallen star here. And inhale coolness. So perhaps you use Sithali or Siddhgadi pranayama by curling the tongue and taking in a 3 or 4 cooling breaths, or by gently parting the teeth and lips, taking in cooling breaths, and then out through the nose. Begin to close your eyes and sense that you are floating, that you are beyond the physical self, that your causal body, your astral body, your subtle body is an expression of your wholeness. Your inner self is an expression of your wholeness. And create space. Take your awareness from the space around your body, not on your body. So the space around your feet, space underneath, over, on the sides of your feet, the space around your legs, underneath, over, around, the space around your hips and pelvis, not around, underneath, the space around your abdomen and chest, around, underneath and over, the space around your hands, underneath, around and over, the space around your arms, underneath, around and over, the space around your head, underneath, over and around. And perhaps this sense of space is emanating light, a color, a vibrational force field, pulsating with energy. And perhaps this space around you is expanding, growing, filling the room you're in, the building, the street, the neighborhood, the village, the town, the city, the state, the country, the continent, the earth. The solar system, and beyond, without limit, without boundaries. Expand with a full breath. And then as you exhale, hug in the energy to yourself. Contract that energy back into your inner self to nourish your heart, your mind, your soul. Feel the earth below you. Feel the sky above you. Know that here you are in your me space, part of the whole. I invite you to stay here in Shavasana for at least 5 minutes. And then when you rise, close your practice by chanting Aham Brahmasmi 3 times out loud, 3 times whispered, 3 times silently, and then Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thank you.